Live from the Export Beer Garden Studios, this is the agenda for Thursday, the Checks' phone, 7th of March.
The Agenda, an alternative commentary collective podcast.
I'm not getting anything through my headphones.
Matt's not getting anything through his headphones.
It's not the end of the world, but as long if I'm coming through the mic.
No, Adam's going to go and grab the headphones. Heath, we were just talking before the podcast started.
There you are.
There I am. Blow your eardrums out. About the various different, like the origins of cricket, where it came from. Because my theory was I was playing one of those lawn games at a wedding the other day. It was Cub, I think this one was called. And I also played croquet. And then there's Clop, which is another one. And they're all just variations of throw a stick at another stick.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that where cricket came from? But you said, no, that it was actually a completely different thing.
Cricket was more like a cross between bowls and croquet.
Right.
Where you were trying to roll a ball through. They didn't have this middle stump. They had two stumps.
And then bails over the top.
And bails over the top. And it was kind of a name, wicket. It came from something like a fence or something like a wicket kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're trying to roll it through, and a person stood in the front with a kind of hockey stick to try and stop it going through. But he's just rolled along the ground and then you hit along. So very pedestrian.
Yeah.
And I always think that if the people that made cricket up, invented it, saw what happened today, they'd be like, no. Yeah. What are you doing? Bowling at 100 kilometres an hour?
100 miles an hour.
150 kilometres an hour. You're having to wear pads. This guy's got a helmet on. What the hell is going on? You're absolutely smoking the ball. This was like a really sort of pedestrian, lovely little
chill
wedding game.
Yes.
Roll it down. No one expected you to be steaming in from the boundary and trying to take someone's freaking head off.
Yeah.
Like, why are you bouncing the ball? Like, roll it on the ground like God intended. What's that third stump doing? What's going on?
Yeah. And you were saying that that's why point was point, because they played with like a hockey stick sort of thing, and it pointed at
point.
Point.
Yeah.
Which is why, because I think it's been doing the rounds recently, the image of all of the fielding positions on a field and not how many could you name. And I think so many people struggle with it because the names are so English and they don't seem to have any correlation to anything. You were saying in baseball, there's like infielders and outfielders.
Yeah, so you like deep right field, you know.
Yeah.
Or first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, you know.
You don't need to understand the sport to know where they are.
No, and then you have complex things in cricket. And it makes sense to us because we've grown up with it, so we don't really think about it. But I was trying to describe cricket to an American friend and was just explaining a bunch of stuff, and it's like, well, that's the leg side, and that's the offside. And then you're talking about the onside, and it's like, well, what's the onside? There's three sides, you know, like the leg side and the onside are the same thing. It's like, okay, well, why is there two names for that side?
And then when a lefty comes on, now
everything flips.
Yeah. And what I was saying before is like, why don't we have it like port and starboard on a boat, where it doesn't matter if you're left or right, looking back or forward. Port and starboard's always port and starboard.
Yeah, and or just you could describe the degrees. Like you don't hit it to mid on or something. You've hit it at mid off. It's 15 degrees or something.
Yeah.
The field at the 15, the
2 o'clock.
Yeah, the 2 o'clock field or something.
Yeah. Mid 2 o'clock, we got a long 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and so it's always the clock. So if you swap sides.
Yeah, because even I really struggle with the fielding positions, and I've watched cricket all my life. But I think, like you say, if you're trying to bring someone else into it, and you were like, see that guy there?
Yeah.
Silly mid-off.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
What the fuck is that?
That is absolutely ridiculous.
It's so English.
But I guess where would you set up the clock from? Would it be from the batter's perspective?
Yes.
Because that's where the shot's going, right?
Yeah, that's right. He's the middle of the clock.
So if you smash it to 3 o'clock, which is square leg, which is point.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
And then 9 o'clock's square leg.
Yeah. And 6 o'clock's, basically.
Wicket keeper.
Yeah, wicket keeper.
Backstop.
And
then your slips are what, 5 o'clock, 5:30? Yeah. You get a 5:30, you get a 5:45.
Like it's just got an edge and it's gone through 5 o'clock for 4. That makes a lot of sense through me.
It does. Me too. It would have to be a clock. I was thinking maybe you could go compass, but then that's a whole different thing. It's gone. He's hit a south-southwester.
Yeah, that would different. Every time you went to a different ground, the fielding positions would would change. But
they got the Northwest Arch here. That's 3 slips in a gully.
Yeah, but there's all those things they do to grow the game. Yeah. That might be something that would grow the game, and especially like people that just get into cricket on the ACC commentary, which is just on iHeartRadio.
Yeah,
and like I was actually listening to Mainstream, the missionary commentary the other day, and someone was always talking about, he's rolled his hand over that, and like on top of all that, you're describing it in a way. Just say it's a slower delivery.
Yes, yeah.
Because everyone knows that's slower than the last delivery.
The one that kills me is pace off, pace on.
Yeah.
When I'm listening to that, he's gone pace off. Oh, he's gone pace on.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He's bowled it fast, he's bowled it slow, you know?
Yeah, but then you're going, so he steams and it's just back of a length. You know, before you even get to the field, people are like, it's back of a length. What length? What are you talking about?
I still don't know what that means. When Jason Hoyt says every single ball is just short of a length.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, what is that? So too short is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
It's bounced too high and it's too easy to hit.
And something that was annoying a friend of mine was someone saying he's bowling fifth stump. And he was like, I thought you said there was only three stumps. No, there is 3 stumps, but when you say fifth stump, you mean that's... Imagine there were 2 extra stumps. That's where he's trying to bowl it.
It's just it's so English.
Yeah.
It's so very English. Like, if this happens, then this happens. But if that happens, then...
Yeah.
And they've all got such ridiculous Alice in Wonderland names.
Yeah, well, like there's this great video you can see on YouTube, and it's what Americans think of cricket.
I've seen this. They like run into a door frame and then...
Yeah, because like even things like changing the sight screen seem so crazy. Swapping sides, like why is there 2 batsmen out? It has got to be the most confusing game from the outside, because I'd say baseball, you go into it, it's like guy throwing the ball, guy with a stick trying to hit it.
Yes.
And he's got to run around the bases.
Yeah.
It's it gets very, very complicated when you start looking into the different types of pitches and such.
Yes.
But
the basic mechanics.
The in to watch it is quite low. And I think that's true with rugby union. The in is quite hard as well.
Very.
Because you're like, what is a scrum? Why are they rolling on the ball? Why is the ball sitting there? Why can't they pick up the ball? What's going on here?
And even us as seasoned fans of the game, when the ref blows the whistle, we often don't know what
We've
it's
got no
for
idea.
and can't explain it to you.
No.
So right, Americans are so literal as people. They need like all right, this guy throws the ball, he pitches it, he's the pitcher. Other guy, what's he? He's the batter.
Yeah.
He throws the ball, doesn't bounce, doesn't do any of that dumb shit.
And what's the fielder fielding on first base? He's the first baseman.
Yeah.
He's not the Tweedle doodler.
Who's the guy in the back that stops it?
The backstop. The catcher or the backstop.
Yeah.
But that's because because baseball was developed out of cricket.
Yeah.
And so they just, like they did with colour, they're like, let's just drop the U, no one's using it. The Americans sort of, when they grabbed it, they're like, let's reinvent it. It's like American football was, they took rugby and they reinvented it at Harvard. Some guys went, well, what if we could just throw it forward?
Why? Yeah.
What would
It's
happen?
so hard to police the backwards passing thing.
Yeah, you can throw it forward.
Spin it.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure it out from there. Yeah. Because America, the whole country was based on, look, let's just have a think about what we actually want to do. There were too many rules. It all got a bit out of control. We've got a chance to do exactly what we want here.
Yeah.
What are the dumb shit that we were doing just for the sake of it that we can bin?
They were like, there were a couple of things that were good about it. They were like, we didn't want kings, so they made their electrical system.
Yeah.
Their electoral system.
They put power lines up.
The English had outlawed slavery. They're like, we'll bring back slavery. We'll keep slavery. That was the one thing they stuck with.
It worked.
They're like, slavery, we're not going to look into that. We'll let that one go for a while.
Yeah.
That was one that they should have looked at first.
Yeah, and someone would have gone, hey, isn't it a bit fucked up? That, like, then we all decide, hey, we have a lot of work to do here, all right? We are building
we will get to that one.
We are building a whole new country from scratch. Do you want to do it? Okay, well, we'll have a massive war in about 100 years, and until then...
Once a lot of stuff's been built, we'll look into that one. But right now, we're dropping the U from colour.
Yeah, but yeah, I just thought all of that kind of thing was very interesting. It's like how did this whole thing distill down from one of those bizarre lawn games into what we have now, which is the second test of the Australian series. That, Matt Heath, is called a segue.
Yeah, nice. That was sweet, actually.
Here's the bowling attack that we don't have through various reasons. Bolt, Jameson, O'Rourke, Wagner. Now, Jameson and O'Rourke are both injuries, fair enough.
Yeah.
Bolt, I don't understand the situation
That
there.
still feels self-inflicted to me.
It does.
Yeah.
As does Wagner. That seems like, he retired, we're releasing him from the squad. Then we all of a sudden have a couple of injuries, but it's like, but we released him. So we can't call him back.
Yeah. Even though he's pesting around still, like he's there.
The whole thing's been bizarre. He was in the squad, he was in the camp, he came into training camp, they did the press conference before the team was named, and he said, I'm retiring. Well, you don't retire unless someone, you don't show up to camp if you know you're going to retire, unless they've said, we're not going to play you, which is, I think, more or less exactly what's happened. Ross Taylor said as much. Kane Williamson's had to come out today and refute any suggestions of a forced exit for Neil Wagner, emphasising the veteran bowler's remarkable career and contributions to the team. Kane has to say that.
Yeah, he has to say that.
Because he's about to captain a team that's going to play a test match against Australia. So he cannot have people go,
Is he going to captain? Is Southee not captaining?
Oh, sorry, no, but he's going to be.
Yeah, he's going to be.
Well, I mean, he's a leader.
He's a leader, yeah. But when you look at that lineup, Bolt, a left-hander, would be just something different.
Yep.
Jamieson, a giant.
Yep.
And Wagner, a psycho, like in terms of bullets in your gun.
Yes.
Instead of just the repeated right arm over semi-pace attack over and over again, where you're just resting the same attack so that they can come back.
Yeah.
The Australians just got on top of that. And like Matt Henry was so good.
Yes, he has been great.
He's been great. But, you follow up Matt Henry with Jamieson, and it's just coming on a crazy different angle.
That's right. Even O'Rourke, who I sort of think at this stage of his career is discount Jamieson.
Yeah, he is.
I wouldn't say Timu Jamieson. He's a step above Timu Jamieson, but he's definitely discount Jamieson. He's sort of off-brand. He's still 6'6", 6'7" something. It comes in at a ridiculous angle.
This pisses me off though with Australia. Not only are they better than us as a team, they also have luck, and we always seem to limp. Just like they're turning up with anyone they want to pick, anything they want, they've got. They've got more resources than us, but they're like, we everyone's available.
Yeah.
Whenever they come up against us, they seem to have freaking luck as well. Whereas we've got this big scandal about Wagner. There's all this sort of stuff spinning around the team. We've got injuries. Devon Conway's out. Yep. We don't have our best bowling attack available, so we're limping into a series where you have to be 100% catch everything and then have a lot of luck to win.
Everything needs to go our way, and that's the luxury that they have. I think a part of it is our own fault for not blooding new players. It's so hard to get into the Black Caps that when we get an injury, it's like, fuck, Ben Sears, have you ever played a test match, mate? And he was great in the T20s, but he's never played a test match,
Yeah.
But I mean, this is exactly what we need, is to put more of these guys in. But you're so right that they have this war chest that they can open and be like, every one of these guys is proven, except maybe him.
Yeah.
But he's proven it like domestic level. What I don't understand is, why don't Australia have the same sort of Bolt issue that we do? Is it because they play so many internationals that they make their money and they don't need to?
I remember talking to an international cricketer, a New Zealand cricketer, I won't say who it was, and he was saying when he was hanging out with the Australians, he was just talking to another Black Cap, and he was saying, I just bought a Ranger. And the Australians like, why would you buy a Ranger? Have you got like an estate or something? He goes, my car. And he goes, And then he was walking out and he saw that they were all driving Bentleys. And so the Australian cricketers couldn't understand, you're a professional cricketer, but you would drive around in a Ford Ranger.
In a ute.
Yeah, in a
ute. In a trade vehicle.
In a trade vehicle. It's like, it's a totally different world. You can make a shitload of money being a professional. But they still play the IPL.
Yes.
But it's not like they need a big mop-up at the end of their career to make the money to set them up for life.
No, which is what we do, because they've sort of frozen us out into that second tier of international cricket teams.
Yeah, I mean, you get the guys in England that can just be test players and end up multi-millionaires at the end.
Yeah, that's right. So dire straits for us. But up against all of that, how do we win this tomorrow, Matt Heath?
Well, I mean, it sounds like the stupidest thing you ever say, but you got to actually take all the catches, because if you toil away for frickin' ages and finally get that opportunity, it goes down. Very demoralising also, because, I mean, really to beat Australia, you just have to have good lines for a long period of time. You just have to just bowl good lines for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And just keep going and have plans and keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, and then you might get a wicket.
Yeah.
But if you keep coming and bowling really well and then you get dropped, then you don't have a chance.
Well, it's hard enough to take 10 wickets against Australia. That is brutal. If you drop 3 catches, you now need to take essentially 13 wickets against Australia.
Yeah.
And that is making it so much harder against yourself.
And the other thing is killing them when they're nearly dead.
Yeah.
You can't have record 10th wicket partnerships.
No.
You can't. I mean, that fucking nearly killed me.
Oh.
The first session of the day, I went to bed going, we got 9 wickets in one day. That's anytime you get 9 wickets against Australia in one day, you're doing pretty well. You just got to bumble out Pooh Bear.
Yep.
And then we're on with the freaking game.
As long as they don't put together an historic 10th wicket stand.
And if they didn't, if say we got Hazelwood in that first over and coulda, shoulda, woulda, then it would have been quite an interesting test match.
Big time.
That would have been quite a difference. But we've talked about this before. Australian cricket, they're like a zombie. You got to double tap them.
Yeah.
You can't just shoot them and then walk around and go, that's dead.
Yeah.
You've got to shoot them again and then kill them, then burn the corpse.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just keep coming back.
Remove the head or destroy the brain.
Yeah.
And we didn't do either of those. We left it attached. We walked away, and then all of a sudden it's bit our ankle. Now we're all zombies.
We're like the end of all 7 Scream movies, where you think he's dead,
Yeah.
and then he's not. He
Because
jumps back up. You assumed.
You threw him in the lake. You assumed he'd drowned.
Yeah.
And
And,
then
then
he
you just
walked
go,
back out.
and then you're cuddling and hugging and going, it's all over, and then he jumps back at you, doesn't he?
Comes back at the window. Yeah. So
By the way, why am I forgetting what's the name of the bad guy, even though it's different people every time in Scream movies? He's called
I don't know.
Ghostface.
Ghostface.
Yeah, Ghostface. They always assume Ghostface is dead. Ghostface isn't dead.
No. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out. But like you say, I think that there were a couple of things that could have gone our way in that last one. But I also think that in a team in this position, they should lose the Black Caps, you know?
Yeah.
So that sort of frees us up a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, we should lose. They're a great team. Let's just go out there and fire a few shots.
Yeah.
See how this goes.
Well, that's why everyone loved Wagner.
Yes.
Because we could be losing, but he was still at least trying to take their head off and against the odds, abusing them and getting
Yeah.
under their skin and being really aggressive, like bowling 125k bouncer at the back of it's like they were swatting flight. He'd really freaking annoy the Australians,
Yes.
and I think you've got to at least have shots fired.
Well, and I've always said this about any sport, do what your opponent wants you not to do.
Yeah.
And if I'm Australia, I'm like, please don't fucking pick wags. All we want to do is come over here. We want to win this game, get out of here, get back to Australia. What we don't want is to have to deal with that fucking ribs, elbows, and get hit in the neck.
Like these short balls that are coming from, because he's not a tall man, so they're coming from a strange angle. They're buzzing around the back. This left-hander buzzing around the back of your head.
It's like, fuck that, please
Yeah,
don't
we don't
pick
want
him.
that.
And they're like, oh, you guys sacked him?
Yeah, they're like-
fuck yeah.
So, because, I mean, how many people looked at Scott Kugelheim and went, oh, no. They were like,
One.
yeah,
All right,
All right, okay.
Time for a quick break, and we'll be right back with a bit more of the agenda. All right, welcome back into the agenda. Just wanted to put a bit of distance between us and that last comment. Matt Heath, we like to play a game on this podcast. It's a new innovation that I've brought in. It's a variation on an age-old radio game of are you in or out? Are you buying? Are you selling? Our version is spit or swallow.
classy. Oh. Classy.
The Highlanders have demoted Billy Harmon, who is the captain, and standout flanker Sean Withy as well, to the bench for the clash against the Waratahs on Friday after they were late for a team meeting. Coach Clark Dermody said the incident was minor in isolation and a genuine accident, but emphasised that the Highlanders want to draw a line in the stand on team standards. He said a couple of players were late for a team meeting. Part of our standards this year is no matter who it is, it's unacceptable and you lose your place in the starting team. Spit or swallow benching the captain for the Highlanders.
Spit.
Yeah.
Especially when you've clearly said that it was an accident.
Yeah.
So you can't be responsible for accidents. It's kind of what we do with the head contact stuff now.
Yeah.
When they don't take intent into it. It's a similar problem, isn't it? Like, it's just ridiculous if you don't take into account things that people can't control.
Like, let's say their car broke down or they got a flat tire or something.
Yeah.
You know, and he was driving Sean Withy to the meeting.
Like how far would this go? Like, you still stood down if you've been kidnapped and tied up in a cabin?
That's right. And it's the grand final of Super Rugby and you're playing the Crusaders.
Yeah.
And Billy Harmon gets abducted by Houthi rebels crossing the Yemen Channel.
And we got, no, it's a black and white rule. We
Yeah.
just made the rule. No matter what, you get stood down. It doesn't matter who you are, no matter what the excuse, no matter what's happened, no matter what, ever.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess the piece of information we're missing is why was he late? But like you said, the coach even admitted as much. It was a genuine reason, and he was late. I understand the making an example of him, but this is a very Highlanders thing to do.
Yeah.
Because do you remember a couple of years ago they more or less, when Tony Brown was in charge, he benched, I think, about 7 players.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't know what happened. That
Something
never came
in
out.
Queenstown.
Something in Queenstown. There was clearly a breach of curfew.
But it was when the season wasn't going so well, it was a must-win kind
Yeah.
of type situation. And when you're a fan, you're just like, I get
don't-
it, your team protocol and your rules and your discipline. but just want to win the freaking game.
Yeah, but I don't care. You know, what's it going to do
What
with
about
me?
pants down 6 of the best or something?
Yeah, exactly. At halftime.
Yeah.
At halftime, public ritual humiliation.
Full pants down in the stocks, whack their bare body, because no one wants that. They want to rest up at halftime. They
Yeah.
don't want to be in the middle of the field getting their bare bodies whacked.
Their body spanked.
Their body spanked, but they still get to play.
But I guess is the problem then that you're asking Billy Harmon to go back into the changing rooms and give a stirring speech at halftime after all of those boys have just watched him get his body spanked halfway at Forsyth Bar.
But I think you've got to see how it scales. Like, say, for, let's say, 2015 Rugby World Cup final, for example,
Yeah.
Dan Carter is a bit late to a meeting, no fault of his own.
Yeah.
Do you not play him? You know, these things have to scale all the way to the most important game, or else it's not a rule that you should be operating in.
Yeah, that was the problem that the NRL was having with things like they had like the minimum stand down if you got a head knock and it was 11 days. It's like, all right, so I don't know, Nathan Cleary gets a head knock in the semi-final, he goes into the grand final. Hey, you're not going to let him play? Like,
Yeah.
you're definitely going to let him play. So I don't know how the rules administered.
Yeah.
The NRL's always done a good job of just been like, look, do you guys want to see Nathan Cleary play in the grand final? It's like, yeah, okay, well, fuck it.
Well, that's because there's a lot of franchises that need to make money. So as much as everything's being looked at in a certain way, they're like going, yeah, we're going to make some money on this bad boy.
Yeah.
It's much more of a ruthless business Aussie way of doing things.
I wonder if they bring Billy Harmon on 3 minutes into the game. You know, like they bench him.
Yeah.
He has to spend the week with his tail between his legs, but then they're like, we actually need you out on the field. So
Yeah.
we'll get you out there. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Landers playing the Tars this weekend. I think we'll do a deeper dive into the Super Rugby round tomorrow, but the Satyrs are playing the Drua over there in Lautoka. This is sort of becoming a bit of a rivalry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the Crusaders used to play a lot of their home games. They'd take a home game away to Fiji because Cantabrians love a trip to Fiji in the middle of winter more than fucking anything. So this has become, and obviously the Drua beat the Crusaders last year, and that's where the tree shaking video came from. It is a dangerous weekend to be a tree in Lautoka this weekend. We need to get over there at the ACC. Go and
how
commentate
good.
one of the games.
That would be so freaking great. But yeah, so what do you reckon about the whole Crusaders this season? Like, is everyone doing the same thing that they always do? They go, they're a bit of a rough start,
Yeah,
and then that for me says they're going to win.
Our own producer Adam is just sitting over there. He was getting stuck into me about the Crusaders losing their first 2 games of this season. I personally have never seen anyone win Super Rugby in round 2. I don't know. It may have happened. Could have happened before my time, but I've never seen it.
What I was asking Manaia is, what have they done for us lately?
What they've done lately is win every available title.
Yeah, but my thing is, like, because they are the Crusaders, I feel like them losing early games is always part of the freaking thing. I mean, maybe not the first 2.
No, it really is. Yeah.
But it is. They go, oh well, are they? They've got a few chinks in the armor. But then being the freaking Crusaders, every loss they learn something and they get better, and then they finally turn up in the freaking final and peak at the exact right time, rather than doing a Chiefs and peaking all the way through the season, and then sort of going off the boil right at the end when you need to be on the boil.
Yeah, no. Look, I'm not too worried about it. It's going to be interesting if they lose again this weekend. Now it's a story because obviously there's so many players lost, Razor's gone, that whole thing. It does become a storyline, but it's good. It's what we need. We need storylines, and this is how every Crusaders season starts, and then I'll tell you how it finishes. You know how it finishes. So yeah, we'll do a deeper dive on Super Rugby tomorrow. Just quickly, I wanted to mention that Joseph Parker's fighting this weekend. I feel like this has crept up. He's fighting a Chinese gentleman by the name of Big Bang Zhang, Zhilei Zhang, 11 a.m. Saturday in Riyadh. That's where all of the fights are happening at the moment because that's where all of the money is. Is there much appetite for this fight? Have you heard anyone talking about this?
No, I haven't actually, but I have actually been talking about Joe Parker quite a bit after his big win.
Huge win.
He's huge win. He's in an interesting position, isn't he? Because he's not quite big enough for the people to risk anything for fight. He's too much of a risk in a way for the big dogs.
You're right.
But things are changing now with the more money in the game. People are having to fight because basically boxing was try not to fight.
Yes.
It was anyone that had any kind of decent record was looking good as a real contender. Try not to fight.
Keep the O.
No sport was wanting to be played less.
Yes.
Than heavyweight boxing.
Because I don't know why this is, but they want to protect that 0 in the loss column more than anything. That's why you see so many boxers who are 21-0, 21-1 draw and 0 losses. And then basically you don't see anyone with double figure losses.
Yeah.
You just will not see it because they'll basically retire by that stage. But the UFC has shown fans actually don't care if their favourite boxer loses.
They just care about the matchup. If the matchup's good, they're excited.
Yeah.
And also if they know where you sit in the rankings. Because that's the biggest problem for
for boxing.
Boxing. Like in the UFC, it matters where you rank.
Yes.
And it does, obviously, in boxing, but you kind of don't know. There's all these different ways to do it. That person won't fight. There's all this kind of stuff. You just need a straight freaking ranking and enough money in the system that it's worth people not waiting for the big $100 million payout.
Because people still want to watch the boxing.
Yeah.
You know, there just needs to be, someone needs to unify the belts. I don't think we've had one in quite a while, a unified champion. Get all of the belts, melt the motherfuckers down.
One belt.
You have to fight. Doing it.
You have to fight.
You have to do it. Otherwise, you're out.
Regular fights, like a regular league, like every other sport in the world where there's the league.
Yeah. And if you're the champion, you fight the first contender, and we pick a date, and you just show up. And if you don't show up, that's a loss. You didn't show up. Bugger.
Yeah.
And we move on.
You have to do it in 6 months or something.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, Joseph Parker, because you mentioned he's right in that Goldilocks zone of could destroy your career like he did to Deontay Wilder, but not a big enough name
to make the money.
So he's the worst nightmare for a lot of these guys.
That's why you need a lot of Middle East money in the system.
Which is what we're getting.
Getting here.
Yeah. He's going to have to beat this guy twice, because if he beats Big Bang Zhang, then there's a rematch clause. There's a one-way rematch clause. So if he wins, he has to fight him again. Big Bang Zhang is a great nickname.
That's fantastic.
It's tremendous. Is Joseph Parker missing an awesome nickname? Because he doesn't really have one. He's got his chieftain title from the islands. That is one of my favourite things when the ring announcers butcher it. I'm not going to have a crack at it. But does he need like a cool nickname for people to get him behind him, like overseas fans?
Park your ass, Parker. Something like that.
The bus Parker? I don't know.
Yeah. Parker.
Grab your Parker because it's cold outside. The windbreaker. I don't know. Nothing really stands out.
When your name's Joe, there's just Smoking Joe's hanging around there.
Smoking Joe Parker, yeah.
Yeah, Smoking Joe Parker, but, there's...
It's been done.
It's been done.
It has been done.
It has been done.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Joe Parker's going to be a nickname. If we can come up with a nickname.
Even if it was Joe the Killer Parker, anything,
Yeah.
Or, something like that. Because, Joe Parker, it sounds like Joe Parker is like a jacket.
Yeah.
It needs something.
Grab a Joe Parker. I don't know.
Park your ass, Parker. There you go.
Better minds than ours will have a better idea than this. Someone will be screaming at their device right now thinking that they've got the idea. Don't just sit there and let it go into the ether. Hit the little microphone button on the iHeartRadio app and send us a voicemail, and we'll get round to it, and we can get Joe Parker right up there with Big Bang Zhang and the great nicknames. Speaking of which,
but you know what? Just put Big Bang in front of anything. Big Bang Parker.
Big Bang Parker. Blast your ass, Parker. We'll see how we go. Speaking of the talkback function, time for one more quick break, and we'll come back with yours, please.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
If you listen to this podcast on the iHeartRadio app, there is a function in the bottom right-hand corner with a little microphone where you can press it and record a voicemail. When you do that, we will play it out on the show just like this. Caller, yours, please.
Yeah, g'day fellas. It's David Bain with an E here. Just getting back to you on the Everyday Olympics. I think quite a good sport to have in there would be the stair sprints. And me being a semi-professional veteran of the sport, I think I'd be out there every day just cleaning up the golds for my country. Running sub-2s most days now. Rain, wind or shine, day or night, I'm up there in a flash. So let's get it in there, the stair sprints.
This was from yesterday's episode where we talked about if you were to add an everyday task into the Olympics to give yourself a chance to win a gold medal, what would it be? Lane went with lunch packing, children's lunch packing. He reckon he can get them all done in 8 minutes, all three of his kids. This guy's saying that he can get up a flight of stairs in 2 seconds. I don't mind that.
I reckon mine would be knowing when things are full.
Oh, yeah?
Like when I have to refill the spa pool, I just let the hose run, and then I just have it like an hour and a half later. I have just this inkling. I'll go down and it's just reach the top. If I'm filling a watering can, filling a bath, I just have a natural inclination to know when to go back, and it'll be full.
A sixth sense. That would be an excellent event at the Olympics. So you guys you go put your hose into your spa pools, 80 is lined up, and you get to turn the tap on as high or low as you want.
Yeah.
Then you got to shut the lid, and you all go back and sit down in the pen,
Yeah.
And all 8 of you sit there and this guy gets up. He goes
up and he goes, who's closest to the top?
Yeah. But it'll be like a game of chicken because you're looking down the row. Oh shit, he's gotten up. The guy from Sweden's up. The guy from Denmark's up. They're all at their pools already. But you're like, no, you gotta hold your nerve.
Yeah.
I know when my spa pool's finished.
And then oh no, he's overflowing. He hasn't gone.
Oh, he's had a blowout.
Yeah.
He's bust. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Steer sprinting would be good. As a kid, my grandparents' house had this haunted attic. And every now and then I'd have to sleep in there if there was family around. And I would, because the light switch only worked at the bottom. So I'd flick it and it'd sprint up to the top. So I reckon I'd give this guy a run for his money upstairs. Do you have stairs in your house? No.
Yeah.
You do? Yeah.
Yeah, 2 sets of stairs.
How annoying is it when you get up the stairs into bed and then you realise you've left something downstairs?
Oh, it's an absolute punish.
It is the worst.
I've got 2 sets of stairs in my house. It's a very tall, narrow house.
Yeah.
And I'm just constantly running. It's like that TV show Silo, when you've got to work out how you're dealing with things. Like everything's on the stairs, going up the stairs or down the stairs.
Yeah, it's like you've got a chicken, a lettuce, and a fox. And you've got to get it across the river. It's like
it's constantly trying to work those things out. The washing's in the mid-level, that's going up to the top level. You got to work that out. I'll throw that down the stairs. It's constant. It's just dealing with 2 sets of stairs constantly.
I think 90% of the frustration of my relationship comes from one of us leaving the thing they need downstairs and going upstairs. And then when you hear your partner yell down there, say, hey, can you just fill my drink bottle up? We're like, what did you do? We've got another one here. Caller, yours, please.
Manaia, claiming that you're the world's greatest bed maker. Your missus is a genius. She's convinced you that you are the best. And as a result, she never has to make a bed again. You moron. She's a smart woman. Nice.
So I got rumbled with this.
So I claimed yesterday my thing I'd put into the Olympics is I can make the most comfortable bed you've ever slept in. Now, it doesn't look like immaculate like the hotel ones do, but they're not comfortable to sleep in. I can build a nest.
Right.
But he's saying that I've been done here.
Yeah.
I've been duped.
Well, I got done that by my previous partner.
Yeah.
And she was saying, you're so good at making breakfast. God, how did you get so good at making breakfast? And she was just like really G'd me up on my eggs and how good I was at getting up and making breakfast and coffee in the morning. I was like walking around all cock of the hoop going, I'm the breakfast champion. I'm the breakfast master.
Yeah.
And then someone pointed out, she's done you, mate. You're terrible. Your breakfasts are terrible, but you are going off with a little spring in your tail and making her breakfast and bringing it back for the little compliments.
Yep. It's like mum telling me that she couldn't get the dishes as clean as I could.
It's brilliant.
You never get the dishes.
You're really good at taking the bins out, that kind of shit. We fall for it.
I cannot peel spuds the way you can. How do you do that? Can you show me? Here, grab this. And then they're just gone. I think I may have been done here. I will say that when my missus makes the bed, it is not as comfortable. But is she doing that on purpose? Because I think we've all been guilty of burning dinner one night just so you don't have to cook it the next night. Sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, my kids are always doing that, just doing such a shit job in the kitchen that you go, I'll fucking do it.
I'll do it myself, yeah. Look, I think I may have been done there. I appreciate that. If this has sprung anything in your mind as to what event you'd like to put into the Olympics, feel free to send us in another voicemail as well. And just quickly to mop up a couple of news stories that caught my eye today. This one caught my eye for a few different reasons. But the headline is one of the greatest headlines I've seen. It's so bizarre. The headline read this morning, did Sydney Sweeney's cleavage just kill wokeness? Have you seen this story?
I have seen the story, yeah, and I've seen all of her appearance on Saturday Night Live. And the term plunging neckline is bandied about a lot these days, but it's all she does. A skit in a Hooters uniform.
Yes.
At one point, and she's a comely lass.
Well, she's a gifted actress.
Yeah, she's an absolute
comely
breath of fresh air. But there has been a bit of a change because what's his name? Shane Gillis was on. He was fired before he even started, and then they invited him back, and
they cancelled him,
and their ratings have been failing. So I think, and they've been seen to be really pushing a sort of quite an intense agenda, which no one gives a shit about unless it's funny. Like no one, if you're pushing an agenda and you're not funny, then they're like, well, if you're pushing an agenda and you are funny, then that's fine. But your only job as SNL is to be funny, and she was funny. And Shane Gillis was funny.
I watched it with the sound off.
Yeah. She was enjoyable for a number of reasons. I mean, that's been a thing that people have done for the longest time. If you don't have everything together, put something hot on the screen. Something for the mums, something for the dads. You know what I mean? Like there's this famous.
That's how you know Shane Gillis is genuinely funny.
Yeah, exactly. As he says, he got clipped by Down. He didn't get fully hit by Down syndrome.
It
nicked him. But like, it's like I saw this documentary on the TV show Doctor Who, and they put it together, and the head of the BBC at the time that was putting it together goes, I don't want one of those monster dumb shows. And then they said, okay, we'll do it. And then he said, well, you got to put something for the dads in there. And what he meant was a hot assistant. If we're going to make this stupid sci-fi show, we need at least a little something for the dads.
Yeah. So I clicked on the headline and then I read the article and I immediately got dumber. And the article basically delved into a massive like Twitter debate that was going back and forth. And I was just like, fuck, Twitter cracks me up. Or X, sorry.
Yeah.
There's whole arguments going on in there that affect no one but the people having the arguments.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know. No. And I was actually talking today, I'm never going to X again because I go there a lot to get content for my radio show.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm getting...
triggered.
I feel like I'm suddenly annoyed about things that I don't fucking even need to know about or care. It's just a full circle jerk.
Doesn't affect me. I don't care about the bathrooms in North Carolina.
But was it the headline, wokeness is dead?
Yeah.
As much as the breasts that got that 40 million views.
The thumbnail certainly had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, so asking a question that's hard to understand, because I saw that and I said, were boobs not woke? I don't know if boobs were ever part of it.
Were boobs cancelled?
I don't think boobs ever got cancelled. Or did they?
Never cancelled boobs.
Were boobs cancelled?
Dicks were cancelled.
Dicks got cancelled, but I don't know if boobs were ever cancelled.
I think dicks got cancelled a while ago.
But I don't think anyone's going to complain too much if boobs are back.
No, I don't.
Even though I didn't really see them go away.
No one's going to probably.
Yeah.
In some places they never did go away. And just finally, this is an interesting study that has come out this week. Cocaine use has doubled in New Zealand. As I sit here with the brick right next to me.
Yeah. Well, it was amazing because the cocaine use, and we did the story on the Matt and Jerry Breakfast Show this morning on Radio Hauraki, and it's 2.4 kgs of cocaine being consumed a week in Auckland. And I was thinking about it, that is an overpriced substance, isn't it? Because like we complain about the price of cheese, like a 1 kg block of Colby cheese. World never shuts up about how expensive cheese is.
Yeah.
But the entire weekly consumption of cocaine is only 2.4 kgs or it's 2.3. So 2.3 blocks of cheese in weight. And it's hundreds of millions of dollars going through the system on the back of that.
Yeah.
It's an insanely overpriced substance, cocaine, isn't it?
It is. And I think that the first indicator that the usage of it within this country had increased was when it was spotted anywhere south of the Bombays. Because I think up until recently, obviously I've never come across the stuff.
No.
But I have heard rumours that it had never spread anywhere outside of Auckland.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing rumours of it showing up in the South Island.
Yeah, well, there was rumours that some of it was seen on the Ranfurly Shield at some point.
That's right, in Hawke's Bay, of all places.
Yeah, so it definitely used to be just an Auckland thing that you'd hear about in Auckland, but but still very much the stats do lean Auckland.
They do.
But they do it in the wastewater.
Yes.
So, but a lot of people when they're drinking wee outside, so they miss out a lot of, like partying, maybe on the nose beers and the nose kai. They're missing a lot of people taking a wee outside.
Do we need to be testing soil in bushes near pubs?
Yeah, exactly.
For example, do we need to be taking cuttings from hedges?
Yeah,
to get an accurate reading on what's being used? Because you're right, so much of it is not ending up in the wastewater.
No, or around the bathroom, like not quite making it into the toilet at a pub.
Should we be swabbing cisterns at bars across?
You should be swabbing the top of the cistern in disabled toilets around Auckland, then the numbers would be really up.
I'll tell you what, I was at a pub before I went to Queens of the Stone Age in Christchurch last weekend. Someone's hay fever was playing up something awful, in the cubicle next to me. So I don't know, maybe test the wastewater down there as well. But I just thought that one caught my eye. I knew you'd have a good take on it. But let's knock it on the head for today. That will do us for the Thursday agenda. We'll be back for another episode of the agenda tomorrow, an abridged version because the second test kicks off at 11. So we will have to get out of the studio quickly. And also tomorrow we're going to have Monty Beetham on to preview the Warriors' first game against the Sharks.
Oh, how good. You could do would you be willing to try the Maridika challenge with Monty Beetham?
That's where That's a high risk,
That's a high risk,
Dika. That's where you have to put the plunger on a bald man's head.
Yeah.
I don't think Warriors, Kiwis, and New Zealand boxing legend Monty Beetham is going to be my first attempt. I might try and get Lee Hart first, and then we'll move on to Monty Beetham. But he'll be on the show tomorrow. Thanks very much, Matty, and we'll see everyone else tomorrow.
Give him a taste of kiwi.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.